Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode here on Play on GAA. This is another new series here on Play on GAA. This is the Club Roundup, episode 1. This is the hurling edition. Luke, really the main headline coming out of the weekend was obviously Na Piarsaigh, very well fancy to actually go on and win the Club Hurling All-Ireland Championship. They were knocked out at the semi-final stage in Limerick by Patrick Swell. Fantastic game. Patrick Swell winning by 3 goals and 21 points, and Na Piarsaigh 1 goal and 22. So Na Piarsaigh are out. What did you make of this?
Yeah, look, this was a huge kind of result, I think, and I think this was probably the club game of the weekend that was the most appetizing kind of coming into the weekend as well, because these are like Na Piarsaigh have been the absolute powerhouse kind of in Limerick, and like they've been heavily backed to they've been thereabouts competing for All Ireland consistently for the last couple of years. Whereas this Patrick Swell team I think you look straight away, you look at the trio that they have with Dermot Burns, Cian Lynch and Aaron Gillane. But the thing that's kind of separating now this year is kind of the emergence of kind of younger players in this team, such as Jason Gillane as well and Josh Considine. So look, there's some real talent on that Patrick Swell team, and kind of coming into it, Patrick Swell had picked up kind of a lot of form. And coming up against the Piarsaigh side that were missing kind of a few lads. So like if you look kind of, they've lost Shane Dowling, they've lost Peter Casey currently as well through injury. So look, they're probably eyeing this kind of this game up as a chance to kind of overturn the Piarsaigh and do something that they haven't really been able to do much previously. And they did completely, and there were some huge performances, particularly like even from some of the other kind of key players in the team, Tom O'Brien and Kevin O'Brien. They really stepped up, and ultimately a great win for Patrick Swell, who'll they'll be hard enough stopped in the final.
100%, and they started the game really, really well. 7 minutes in, Kevin O'Brien's goal, I think that really, letting Na Piarsaigh know that they were in an absolute battle. And you said it yourself. I mean, they have 3 of the best hurlers in the country in Burns, Lynch and Gillane. Gillane really led from the front, 8 points from him. And, Cian Lynch was fantastic as well throughout the entire game. He's at the absolute peak of his powers right now. Obviously, Na Piarsaigh come back. They were never going to go down easy. They came close several attempts at goal very late on in the match. But, Brian Murray in goal for Patrick Swell was fantastic. Do you really now see them? Obviously, they've eliminated one of the, club sides that everyone thought were going to go on and compete for the All-Ireland Club Championship. So, by process of elimination, really, that makes Patrick Swell, right up there as contenders, surely.
Yeah, well, look, I think the really interesting thing about Patrick Swell is that it is a side containing kind of pretty much 3 of the best hurlers in the country. You could pretty much argue that with Burns, Lynch, and Gillane, that they've got 3 of the top 10 hurlers in the country at the moment. So, like, it's to have that level of star power kind of packed into one club team is nearly unheard of, and it's just it's a remarkable kind of collection of players they have. So any time they go into a pitch with those, especially with those 3, and then like a very strong supporting cast around them as well. Like as well, we haven't talked about like Shawnee O'Brien yet, or Mark Carmody as well. So there's plenty of talent in this team, and I think once with those players, like every time they go to the pitch, you can't write them off. But look, we're going to come to Kilmallock now in a minute, who look to be the form team in Limerick, though. So they're going to have an almighty challenge in that Limerick final. And to be honest, it's very, very hard to call which way it's going to go.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of that other semi-final, Kilmallock, as you've mentioned, into the final, they had a fantastic win over Doon. They won by 4 goals and 20 points to Doon's 2 goals and 16 points. What did you make of this game?
Yeah, again, another really interesting game. And look, I think the big kind of talking point to take from it again is the continued good form of Oisin O'Reilly. I think I think so far he's been the club player of the year in hurling, and he's just kind of, his performance levels have been absolutely outrageous, I suppose. And like, this is coming into a situation that Limerick are probably going to have to be facing next year without Peter Casey and without Barry Murphy. So there's an opening in corner forward for that Limerick team, and based off club form, it'd be hard to imagine that Oisin O'Reilly won't be one of the favourites to kind of make a surge and take that spot.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, because he looked fantastic throughout the entire game against a very, very strong Doon side. I mean, you look at some of the guys that they have, they've Darrow Donovan, they've Richie English, and still for O'Reilly to shine like that, it shows that he's able to shine against the toughest of opposition. Scoring 2 goals and 4 points, that's fantastic. Michael Houlihan as well, he scored 1-7, albeit the goal was from a penalty and most of his points were from frees, but he looked very, very, very good throughout the entire game. Kevin O'Donnell chipped in with 1-2. Kilmallock just looked solid all over the field. And going in now against the final, they will be the underdogs, obviously, because of Patrick Swell dethroning the Piercig. But I think Kilmallock are in a very, very good position as well, and that should be a fantastic final.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the one to watch out for. I think it's probably the most intriguing county final we're going to see all year, and kind of the level of talent and display from both teams. I'm sure now in a second we're kind of going to get into the Kilmallock team itself, but the level of quality in there is just outstanding, and I'm sure you feel the same. That that's one I can't wait to watch.
100%. You've got Aaron Costello there. He's on the Limerick senior hurling team as well. Oisin O'Reilly, as you mentioned, he's fantastic. Graham Mulcahy, the experience that he brings to that full forward line, he's been one of Limerick's best servants over the last few years. And then on top of that, when we're talking about experience, Gavin O'Mahony, he played with number 14 in his back. He was one of Limerick's best players throughout the 2000s before he retired from the panel. He was fantastic. I remember him playing at wing back against Dublin, just lobbing over points all game. So Kilmallock have a ton of experience, and then they've got the youth of O'Reilly and all them young lads coming through, and that I think that just serves them well to play against Patrick Swell, because Patrick Swell now, for the first time, really, now they've got all the expectation on them, and obviously that won't bother the likes of Keane Lynch, that won't bother the likes of Gillan and Burns, but the supporting cast around them have never really been in a position where they're overwhelming favourites to win something, which is why I think Kilmallock, they might be liking the position that they're going in.
Yeah, look, if I was to be kind of predicting it earlier on, I would actually probably lean Kilmallock as well. Even out of the kind of supporting cast, in goals, Barry Hennessy's the backup keeper there, and a really safe pair of hands from as well. In the backs, they've Philip O'Loughlin and Mark O'Loughlin, who've plenty of kind of Fitzgibbon experience as well. Dan Joyce played underage the whole way. And then as well at the weekend, Michael Houlihan was absolutely fantastic, scoring a goal in 7. So they've so much talent in that team, and I think they're a slightly more rounded kind of team than Patrick Swell. I think Patrick Swell have the firepower, but overall, I do think that Kilmallock have a better kind of 15 and are a better collective, and that's probably why I just about maybe leaned them to win it very, very narrowly.
Yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from. Me personally, I will go for Patrick Swell to win it just because of their firepower, but it will definitely be an enthralling match, and I can't wait for it. In other hurling news, in other hurling club news, Antrim Hurling Club Championship, Dunloy sealed their 3 in a row. Fantastic achievement for that club, and they won the final very, very comfortably. They beat O'Donovan Russa by 3 goals and 23 points to 1 goal and 14 points. Fantastic performance by them. The big players for them, obviously, Conal Cunning plays for the Antrim senior hurlers. He chipped in with 111. Fantastic performance from him. They've got Kevin Malloy there. He got 5 points. Fantastic performance by him. Brilliant day for Dunloy, and now into the Ulster Hurling Club Championship. For me, it's between Dunloy and Slough-Neil for who wins the Ulster Club Hurling Championship. I would be interested to see what you think of that.
Yeah, look, I think I'd agree with that as well. I think that the thing is, though, lately kind of Slough-Neil have kind of seemed to have a level of dominance, I think, in Ulster Hurling Championship, but I'm kind of looking at the progress of Dunloy. Each year, kind of, they've come out of Antrim and they've looked like shown a lot of promise. And each year you kind of think that might be the year. Again, I'm kind of looking at this team and I'm thinking that after the year that Antrim had last year, that with some of the players and the more experience that they got, look at Cunning, kind of the level of performance he's kind of was given last year, and as well they've Keelan Malloy in midfield, who really burst onto the scene last year, I think, on a national level. So yeah, I think based off maybe that experience that a lot of these players got in kind of playing Division 1 hurling, I'm actually probably going to go with Dunloy to be my early favourites, I think, for the Ulster Championship. I'm looking at this team, they've got the 2 Elliots that are playing for Antrim at the moment. They've Keelan Malloy, Kevin Malloy, Owen O'Neill starts for Antrim as well, and obviously Cunning. And then, as I've mentioned there already, Sean Elliott in corner forward as well was starting an awful lot of games for Antrim too. So look, there's a huge amount of inter-county experience and representation on that team. So I do think that that will really stand to them. And I think it'd be a very brave decision to write them off also.
100%. And then obviously in other club news, the Kilkenny Hurling Club Championship semi-finals were decided. Ballyhale Shamrocks will play against James Stephens and Tullaroan will play against O'Loughlin Gales. Obviously Ballyhale Shamrocks, they have that kind of air about them. You know, they win so often. They've had all the legends like Henry Shefflin and the like. They defeated Bennett's Bridge 27 points to 115. James Stephens got there by beating Dicksboro by 216 to 215. Very tight contest there. Which out of those two, of Ballyhale and James Stephens, do you reckon will get into the final? I think that would be, out of the two semi-finals, that's my pick for being the more kind of entertaining game, although the other game will still be a cracker.
Yeah, look, I think, like, obviously based kind of off previous experience and previous years, like you can't kind of really write off the two-time champions in a row, really. I know kind of that they've kind of started a little bit slower, but that was kind of similar in previous years too. So I do think that Ballyhale kind of are probably the team to watch here still. Like, obviously that will be an interesting tie. Like, Ballyhale did a good old win, kind of beating Bennettsbridge by a fair amount, kind of, and a Bennettsbridge team that kind of that were well backed, I suppose. So I think Ballyhale will have enough to beat James Stephens, who just about beat Dicksboro. Yeah, I'd go with them. And then in the other one, I'd probably go with O'Loughlin Gales to just about overcome Tullaroan.
Yeah, well, I agree with you there. I just think Ballyhale, they've too much firepower. When you look at the team, TJ Reid, Owen Cody, Adrian Mullen, you know, they just have too much firepower. And I think, like, even as strong as James Stephens are, like, they've Connor Brown and people like that, but I just think Ballyhale, they're too strong. When you look at the other semi-final, then you've got, you know, Tullaroan obviously led by Pádraig Walsh, but I just think, as you've mentioned, O'Loughlin Gales, they look too strong for Tullaroan as well. They've got players like Hugh Lawler, and they've got Paddy Deegan as well. I just think that the back, they're so strong with those two. And I think that will set up a mouth-watering final between O'Loughlin Gales and Ballyhale. And I'd be interested, which one do you think would win out of those two?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to bet against Ballyhale right now. I don't think. I think, like we've talked already, kind of a little bit on the pod here about kind of star quality on teams, and like you could go on like all day kind of about the quality in that Ballyhale team. So look, I do think that I'd go with them to essentially come good, I suppose, and like I think they're peaking at exactly the right time. So yeah, I'd go no surprises with Ballyhale winning.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Ballyhale, for me, they're my pick to go on and win the Kilkenny Club Hurling Championship. And to be honest, I think they're right up there as serious contenders to win the whole All-Ireland Club Hurling Championship. They are that good, in my opinion. As for the Cork Hurling Club Championship, their quarterfinals were announced. Douglas will play Blackrock, Erin's will play Middleton, Glen Rovers will play Imokilly, and Sarsfields have a bye. Now, obviously, that's your last seven, really. Which out of these clubs do you see going all the way in Cork?
Yeah, look, Cork's an interesting one. It kind of seems kind of wide open, I suppose, at the moment. That and like as well, kind of the presence of the divisional sides and everything as well. It makes kind of Cork an interesting hurling championship. I know it's kind of a lot of people kind of don't like kind of the presence of the likes of kind of divisional teams like Imokilly in there, who seem to have had an awful lot of joy lately. So like I do think that Imokilly are going to consistently be competing for it with the level of players that they do have as well. And then as well, I'd probably looking at Middleton and Sarsfields, I'd say, as my other picks.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. So that is our Club Hurling Roundup, episode 1 of the Club Roundup Hurling edition. Don't forget to catch our football edition as well, and we will come back next week with episode 2 as the club championships progress. Take care.